Welcome to the Primitive Lifeways channel. In today's video, I want to discuss one of my absolute favorite folding buck saws, and that is the Boreal 21 by Agua Canyon. So stick around, we got a great show coming up. So folks, I want to welcome you back. Now, the area that I live in, Prescott, Arizona, I recommend carrying two saws. In this specific zone that I'm filming this video in today, I highly recommend carrying a Baco Laplander. This thing works excellent. We have a lot of smaller diameter lumber. We have scrub oak, manzanita, mountain mahogany, and the Laplander will haul through material and it'll do it with ease. It's small, it's lightweight, it folds in and you can throw it at the bottom of your pack with no problem, or even stuff it inside of a pocket. Now you start heading a little bit farther up into the more mountainous regions, which I spend a lot of time in, or even riparian zones. A folding buck saw is absolutely the way to go, and I highly recommend the Boreal 21 by Agua Canyon. This is by far my favorite folding buck saw. I use two different blades, and that's a nice thing about it. It has a 21-inch blade and they're interchangeable. So I use a really aggressive Sydney Rancher 2 blade, and then I periodically change that out depending on what I'm cutting. If I'm cutting a bow stave or I'm cutting through bone, I use a bone saw. It's kind of like an aggressive hacksaw blade. But with a bow stave, you don't want the wood to travel. So the finer the teeth are, the less likely that is to happen. But for building a shelter, collecting firewood, the Sydney Rancher 2 is what I prefer. This is a very easy configuration. The blade stays intact with the body of the frame, and I'll show you how that works right now. So we have this folded up. It's nice and compact. It weighs a little over a pound. So you can stuff this inside of a pack pocket. You can lash it on the outside of the pack, whatever you prefer. So the handle will break away, and you'll pull that down. You'll see this plastic piece up top. This will fold over the top, and it'll come down, and it locks right into the handle. So you'll see this little groove here, just like that. You can see we have a lot of room to work with. It has a very slight taper towards the top of the saw. And then to break it down and fold it back up, the plastic piece pops out. Again, it wraps over the top, and then this piece will swing up. All right, to change out the blade, you have two little C-rings here. You have one down here, and you have one towards the top of the saw. Those will pop out. You can use your knife or your multi-tool, and it's quite simple. So without further ado, we'll get into the field test, and I'll show you how well this performs. All right, so for the first portion of this test, I decided to come down to this lakeside and harvest some of this dead and down cottonwood. There's quite a bit of material that I can use. As it sits right now, it's just sitting here and rotting. So I'll split this down into quarter sections, and I'll carve spoons out of them, and some of them I'll use for bow drill hearth boards. So this is a soft wood, extremely soft. And we'll start off by working with a soft wood, and then we'll go into a hardwood. So the total circumference of this is about 11 inches, 10, 11 inches or so. So I want to utilize the entire blade length of the saw. And there we have it. You can see it drags through this material with no problem whatsoever. Works extremely well. So for the last portion of this test, I want to use this hunter's blade. And as I mentioned before, when cutting through bone or bow staves, this is the blade that I use, and we'll do both. Right here you can see we have a really nice dense piece of Osage orange, and this will make a great bow. It still has its sapwood on, so I need to remove that and chase an annual growth ring throughout its entire length. And you can see on the end it has a heavy polish on both ends. So in order for me to chase a growth ring, I have to see what the rings are doing and which one I want to pick. I want to pick a nice wide ring. So what I'll do is I will cut off the end just to see what these growth rings are doing. And like I said, Osage orange is a very hard, dense wood, and that's where this blade comes in use. So we'll start that right now. So you can see how fine that cuts. And this tree really comes in handy because I can lay this bow stave down flat and have a lot of control with it. And there we go. So I can discard that. And we have a nice ring that runs right through here. That's the ring that I want to chase out. All right, so off to the bone. We'll saw through that and I'll show you how it works. And here's the bone that I'll be cutting through. What we do with these is we turn them into awls for punching through leather, for weaving baskets, making clothing, so forth and so on. Right here, I'm just going to remove this top portion, and I do this slow since it's a shorter piece and it's already been cut on the bottom. And there we have it. You can see the saw just blazes right through this material. So now I split this in half and I work both sides so I can get 2 awls out of this one bone. Here's another leg bone. This one is from a fresh kill. It's a bit softer. Once again, I'll remove the top, let this thing cure out and season, and then I can turn it into a tool. So I start this off by creating a groove for the saw to bite into. And there we have it. Once again, it cuts well. And this is quite a large saw for a small bone. This thing will absolutely haul through something like elk, deer, cow, big hefty pieces of bone. All right, folks, so that is just about going to wrap things up for me today. All in all, this saw is excellent. I highly recommend it, especially in an area like this where we have a lot of vegetation and lumber to haul through. Boy, this thing sure does come in handy. I also like that you can swap these blades out, and they have quite a few different ones to choose from. This is lightweight, it's compact, and it's easy to fold and unfold. You can throw it in your pack and it's ready to use. So with that, I do appreciate you joining me. I'm Jeff with PrimitiveLifeways.com, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.